Let's make sure we're streaming. Y'all, please help me remember to turn it off. Please. Please. I don't want to get another day of it rolling for days. Okay.
I wonder how long it would go until you
I don't know. Would it just stay live forever? All right. So what we're doing today is not anything new. It's actually all stuff that you already know. We're just going to take what you already know and sort of add to it a little bit and do some math with it. Okay? Well, there's one little thing I'm going to show you that's sort of new for you. So, like for example, what do you know about the angles of a triangle? Everybody has to comment on it. Yes, it says tigers. I don't know why they did that. They just did, okay?
It's a flag.
Yeah, well, they're called pennants. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, I Googled it one year. They're called pennants. Those triangular shaped things are called pennants. Okay, what do you know what the angles of a triangle? Every triangle in the world. They could be the same. They add up to 180, don't they? So if we know two of them, could we find the third one that's missing? Yeah. So all we would have to do is do 180 minus whatever those other two add up to. So in this case, 80 and 73 add up to what? Yes, sir. 80 and 73 add up to what? Let's try that one again. I feel like that is wrong. 153. So what is 180 minus 153? 27. And it's degrees. Every one of these answers is going to be degrees, so everyone needs a degree symbol, right? Okay, you were close, dude. All right, let's look at number 2. So we've got this little house, right? But really this down here is irrelevant. That doesn't matter. We're just looking at this triangle. What do you know about angle 1 and angle 2? They're the same because they have the same little mark. So they're congruent, right? So how can we figure out what they are with the information that we have? So we could do 180 minus 146. What does that give us? And then what would you do? Divide 34 by 2 because you have two equal angles. So what are both of them? 17. Now, I do want to point out that your brain may not think this way, but some people, first hour, the first answer that was given to me was 2x plus 146 equals 180. Now, where did they get that from? The two angles are both unknowns, right? So they did 2 times x being one of the angles, plus 146 equals 180. The math is exactly the same, right? We're still subtracting 146 from 180. We still get 34. We still divide by 2 exactly. We do exactly the same math. They just thought about it as an algebraic equation, and you just thought about it as just a reasoning problem, right? No, 2 different ways of thinking. Not one smarter than the other. Okay, so look at this one. What do we know? What could we find? Which one would be real easy to find? On the left, because you have 2 triangles you know, or 2 angles you know. So you could find angle 1 because we know these 2 right here. So we would do 180 minus whatever 85 and 40 are, which Zaylee says is 125, right? So what's 180 minus 125? 55. So this angle right here is 55. Okay, what else do you know? Because that angle's 55. How do you know 2 is 55, Zaylee? They are vertical angles. So since they are vertical angles, we know they're congruent to each other. So since we know that 2 is 55, can we find 3 now? Yeah, so what would we do? We do 180 minus whatever 55 plus 55 is, which is 110, right? And then 180 minus 110 leaves us with 70. Now, what kind of triangle is this guy over here? It's based on the angles. This one, I put this big old square around. Do you need me to move back a little bit?
I just wasn't looking at it.
Okay. It is acute. That's true. Now, what based on the sides? So it has two angles that are congruent, right? If it has two angles that are congruent, guess what else? Those two sides are also congruent. So it's an isosceles triangle. Okay, look at 6 through 8. So same kind of concept. Only we are going to learn a little something new in this one. So what angle would be the first one you would find? Two. And what is 2? Because angle 2 is vertical to this guy over here, right? So we know angle 2 is 55. Now, let's talk about finding angle 1. What are we going to have to do to find angle 1?
Find the angle.
So we need to find this missing angle here, right? And then we know that angle 1 and this angle are supplementary. They're a linear pair. So if we do, I'm going to pull this down a little bit so I have room to write. So if we do 180 minus 55 plus 70, what do we get? What is 55 plus 70, by the way?
125.
That's 125. So 180 minus 125 is 55. Okay. And then we're going to do 180 minus 55 to get that exterior angle right there. What's that going to give us? Does that sound familiar to you? Where'd that 125 come from?
Subtracted from 180.
And we subtracted it because it was 55 and 70 added together, right? So I told you he was going to learn one little thing right here. So here's the little thing. Every time you have a triangle, you have internal angles and you have external angles. The internal angles are the ones inside. External is the one outside. Interior, exterior, internal, external, right? If we have this triangle and we label these as 1, 2, 3, and 4, if we add 1 plus 2 plus 3 together, we get 180. If we add 4 and 3 together, we get 180. Since 3 is the same in both of them, that means that 1 plus 2 has to equal 4. These two angles added together have to add up to that angle that's out there. These two are called remote interior angles, if we're talking about them compared to angle 4. And angle 4 is called a remote exterior angle. Okay, so the remote interior angles have to add up to the remote exterior angles. That means the two angles not attached to this exterior angle add up to that angle. So we could have on this just done 70 plus 55, and that would have given us that 125 from outside. Now we're about to use that concept over here. So we know that these two right here have to add up to 150. We know one of them. How do we find the other one? $150 minus 55 will give us this one we're missing right there. What is 150 minus 55? 95. So that angle 3 right there is 95 degrees. Y'all see how easy that is? Now, we could have done 150 or 180 minus 150 and got that this was 30. We could have done that. And then we could have done 180 minus 30 minus 55, and we still would have gotten that that was 95. So either way works. This is just faster. Y'all see what I'm saying? All right, so let's look at the next bunch here. Okay. Which angle is going to be the easiest one for you to find right off the bat? 4. How are you going to find 4? How are you going to find 3? You're still going to have to tell me how to find it. Huh? You could do 1, 4. Those are both going to be easy to find. Either one of them. So let's pick one of them and figure out how to find it. 1. How are we going to find 1? How do we find it? We're going to add up 80 and 60, and that's going to equal whatever 1 is, because the 1 is that remote exterior angle. So what is 80 plus 60? 140. So 1 is 140. Now, what can we find because we know 1? 2. Because what do we know about angle 1 and angle 2? They're not the same. They are different. What about them is different, though? What do they make? What's their relationship to each other? They make 180. So if we do 180 minus 140, then angle 2 is 40 degrees. Right? Okay. Now, let's go back to that angle 4 we were talking about a while ago. Can we find that one now? What do we know about angle 4? What do we know about these two angles, y'all? They're supplementary. So can we find angle 4 by doing 180 minus 105? Y'all see what I'm saying? So 180 minus 105 is going to give me 75. So angle 4 is 75. Right? Okay. What about finding angle 5? What could we do easily to find angle 5? $75 plus 40, because those are the remote interior angles to that remote exterior angle, right? So 75 plus 40, which is 115, that's going to be angle 5, 115, right? Now let's talk about finding the last one here, and that's angle 3. What's going to be the easiest way to find angle 3?
We know that 4 an angle that doesn't have like a name, that's going to be 75. So we know the 40, so add that up.
So that's one way we could do it. We know that this angle 4 is 75. That means this one is also 75, right? So we could do 180 minus 40 and 75. We also, another option would be to do 105 minus 40. Because for angle 2 and angle 3 have to add up to 105. So we could do 105 minus 40, or we could do 180 minus 25 or 75 plus 40. Either way, we're going to get the same answer. So what is our answer on that one? 65. I'm going to trust that you're right. Either way, still get 65, right? Okay, we got 2 more to do here. Now, I have the hardest time sometimes with these where they overlap triangles like this. Sometimes it's so hard for me. And sometimes what I have to do is I have to redraw them where they're not attached to each other. Like A, B, C, that's a right angle, that's 63 degrees. So that's the big triangle there. Y'all see it? And then I would draw this little triangle like this. B, D, C, that's 63 degrees. So that's angle 1, that's angle 2. And so sometimes that helps me to redraw them where they're not overlapping. Okay? You don't have to if you don't need to. That's just for your benefit. Okay? All right, so let's look at this right here. How can we find that angle 2?
Well, we know one angle is.
We know that's 90. That means what do these two have to add up to? Well, all three of them have to add up to 180, but what do those two have to add up to? 90. Because if that one's 90, these two together have to be 90. So the easiest way to do this is 90 minus 63. 27. Now, could we do 180 minus 90 minus 63? Yeah, we could do that. So we got that angle 2 is 27. Now, what about this little triangle? How do we find that angle 1? We know one's a right angle. That means what do these two have to add up to? 90. So 90, it's the exact same measure, y'all. You know what that means about those two triangles? When they have all their angles are the same measure? They are called similar triangles. They are similar. Their angles are the same measure, but they're different sizes. That means if we took this little triangle and we turned it to where it was laying the same way that one is, they would look the same. Just one would be little and one is big. All right. Y'all think you're ready to do that practice side? So let me tell you a little bit about the practice side real quick. Most of it's self-explanatory. This is the only problem that has 2 answers. And you will see that there are 2 boxes. Do not put angle 1 equals or anything like that. Just put your answer. But every answer on this page is an angle measurement. And what is the unit of measurement for angles? Degrees. You have to put the degree symbol or it will be counted wrong. I'm telling you, if you don't put the degree symbol on your interactive worksheet, it will be counted wrong and I'm not going to fix it. You hear me? At this point in the year, we should be putting units where units belong. Right? Angle measures get degree symbols. So every single answer on here should have a degree symbol on it. On this one, it doesn't matter which box you put the answer in. I have it set up to where it counts it right no matter whether you put 1 here and 2 there or 2 there and 1 here. Okay? But they should both have a degree symbol. The rest of it, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. All right? All right. I'm going to let y'all get to work. This is due tomorrow when you come in. You do have, oh Lord, y'all have 25 minutes to work on it. There's no reason why you shouldn't get finished. Do you hear me? Do you hear me?
I'll be the first one.